All right. Up next is our AI for Activists 101 panel. We've got Alex, Justin, Anna, Ben, and Jhanisse.
Thank you, Craig. Let's give it up for Craig. Thank you, Craig. All right. I have the honor and privilege of hosting this awesome panel. It's just such an exciting time to be in this space, thinking about this stuff. It's like things change so fast, right? So I wanted just to start with some quick intros. Just tell the audience briefly who you are, what you're doing, what you've done with HRF, and then I'm going to go back to you, Justin, for like a recap on the AI trainings that we've been having the last 2 days. So just first of all, quick intros, and then we'll go to Justin.
Hi, I'm Justin Moon. I'm a Bitcoin developer for the past 6 or 7 years, running a lot of educational meetups and stuff like that, worked on privacy, and I'm helping HRF build out the AI for Individual Rights program.
My name is Ben Perrin. I've been educating people in and around how to properly use and secure Bitcoin for almost a decade with a YouTube channel called BTC Sessions. And as of late, I've been co-hosting our quarterly webinar with Anna here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chekhovich. I am originally from Russia. I'm an activist in exile, and I work as a nonprofit Bitcoin adoption lead at the Human Rights Foundation. I educate activists and nonprofits. I teach them how to use Bitcoin in their work.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jhanisse Vaca-Daza. I work at HRF, directing programs that support activists like the Freedom Fellowship or the Resilience Retreat.
So in 2017, we had the first workshop ever at a human rights conference that brought together human rights defenders and Bitcoin educators and investors and activists and folks in that space. And since then, that's grown just tenfold, 100-fold. And it's really, for whatever we've done for Bitcoin or whatever, it's just done so much more for us, right? So what we wanted to do is copy some of the things that worked really well with training and educating human rights defenders and dissidents about Bitcoin for AI, and that's what we're going to do. Like we learned a lot of things. We learned what worked. We learned what didn't work. We learned what needed to be for a good educational program for nonprofits and human rights groups. And now we're in the thick of it, and it's just a lot of fun. So Justin, give us just an overview of what you saw the last few days and how much your mind is like spinning with ideas right now.
Yeah, so the idea was to run a series of workshops the first 2 days of the Oslo Freedom Forum. We started with an office hours where everybody could come in and chat with us, and then we did 3 hours of workshops that I was supposed to design with no experience in advocacy.
Well, that's because this has never happened before.
Yeah, with no experience in activism, as the tools are changing constantly. So it wasn't an easy job, and I basically just guessed at the level of experience and the tasks that needed to be done. And so what we did is we did like kind of a 1 hour session at the beginning where I just assumed people didn't know anything, and taught them kind of the basics of how to get the best out of ChatGPT, which is just the most popular tool. And I expected on the first day, with about 2 minutes before it started, there was like 4 people in the room. And I was like, oh God, this isn't going to work. And then 5 minutes later, there were 40 people in the room, and I could barely hear myself think. And that was great. So for the first maybe 2 hours, the room was just absolutely packed. Everyone was very interested. And then we moved on towards the end to more advanced things. Like, by the end we were vibe coding. Vibe coding is
So let's just teach everyone here what is vibe coding, and it's this thing that didn't exist not that long ago, but all of a sudden it's just incredibly transformative.
Yeah. So usually, in order to produce software, you engage in coding or programming, right? Where you have to type characters into something like Microsoft Word. Programmers have their own version of Microsoft Word, kind of, and you type it in, and then it'll run.
And groups like the one Jhanisse works for, or HRF, or ACF, other groups that you guys work for, had to hire programmers to do this stuff, right? Yeah. That was just the way things were until 2025.
Yeah, and so you have to really focus. You got to really get in the zone. You got to have a lot of caffeine, and it's
like this.
You get hunched over.
You always want to hire someone who looks like this. Yeah.
And then so vibe coding is instead of doing that yourself, you instruct in your native language a coding agent to do this for you, and you just surrender to the vibes. It's all kind of instinctive. emotional, intuitive.
Do
right?
this, do that.
It's not rational at all. You're just sort of like you're captured by the muse. And the amazing thing is, like, we had like a 7-year-old kid in there who had never touched done any coding at all. And in 10 minutes, he had a personal website for some advocacy group that he was, I think his mom was associated with. And as an example, I pointed out that one of his buttons was broken. It was all white, and you could only see what the button said when you hovered over it, because I was showing that these tools aren't perfect yet. And then so I went back to my group and started talking to them again, and the kid goes, I fixed it. Because, in one prompt, he was able to tell the AI, hey, the button's broken, fix it for me, and it did. So that's really neat. This is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, this is not science fiction. I mean, look, we wanted to open harshly with what the dictators are doing, and we need to be sober about that. But the possibilities to radically expand the potential for individuals to change the world, I mean, is just so exciting. And just to get rid of all this tedious work that we used to have to do in the human rights space. I mean, forget the obvious stuff is the LLM type stuff, which a lot of you probably haven't really actually sat down and done yet, where it's like, okay, you got to do a research briefing for your team or for your board, or you got to write an annual report, or you got to do a donor report, or you have to do a grant proposal or some sort of application. I mean, instead of doing it the way you used to do it, you just tell the agent, hey, I need 10 to 12 pages. I need it to sound like this. I need it to look like this. I want it to reference these things. And what it gives you is, like, amazing. So there's that, and then there's translation stuff, translate this, and there's video editing stuff. But the vibe coding stuff is just, imagine the time it used to take us to build websites, even do simple things, make a presentation beautiful.
Analyze data.
This is just completely groundbreaking. So I wanted to go over, just to skip to Jhanisse. We'll go Jhanisse and then Anna and then Ben, and it's like, are you excited about this? Like, what is this going to liberate you from having to do, and how much more dangerous is this going to make you guys, basically?
It's beautiful, because one of the most important thing I think in activism is to actually strategize appropriately and be able to understand what the different tactics that you choose to deploy, whether it's on the ground or even on social media, what the impact and the response from the regime might be. And currently, an organization that's here, it's called Canvas, and a group of other nonviolence nerds like myself are trying to work and figuring out how AI can help us do the strategic estimate, understand our strengths, weaknesses, and resources, as well as the opponent, and kind of do rehearsals with AI to anticipate what the response of the regime might be. And that will be, while I do think that in the end strategies must continue to be decided by the movement members themselves, because that builds democracy, it's going to allow us to at least have a range of options that we perhaps have not considered in the past. And that's looking at it from a grand strategy level. If you look at tactics,
meaning just for in the same way that people have a therapist or a love interest that's an LLM, you can say, hey, if you were Putin, what would you do to disable me, right?
Exactly.
And it's pretty amazing what it says, right?
Exactly,
yeah. So it can really help us be strategic, right?
And anticipate repression, because there are ways to make repression backfire and make it work on the favor of the movement.
Yeah.
But for that, you have to plan ahead. You have to have a strategy ahead of time, even to receive repression and push it back. And that's, again, talking about grand strategy. But if you want to go specifically to tactics, one thing that I've been playing with, and people in my movement, is that in the Amazon fires in Bolivia, the country where I'm from, where I'm leading a movement, we have a problem where the government blocks any news about coming fires. And we've been trying to rely on NASA satellite images, but we need someone that's an expert to interpret the images and do calculations to know the exact amount of fire in the week, in which direction it's going to go. And we are all volunteers. We don't have the capacity to hire someone to do this analysis. And we've been trying to get that from AI as well, so that we can tell firefighters where we can expect fires to expand next week. So it can go from grand strategy to campaigns to tactics. It saves a lot of time.
Amazing. Anna, what is your take, and how do you think it can make organizations more effective?
I must confess, I think this is something, this is not anything that I should say in front of my boss on the stage, but I think I do around 90 or 80% of my work with AI.
Great.
Yeah.
That means you're doing 90% more than you used to, right? It's great.
Yeah. First of all, I'm not a native English speaker, and I provide Bitcoin education in English language. And AI helps me a lot with creating content, including all visuals that we use in our work. And, I have to find a specific language to make content for our students so they can understand what I'm talking about. So AI doesn't only help me to create the content, but also I do brainstorming to find ideas, and I ask it to help me, like how to, what's the best approach, how to teach students, and I actually implement some ideas into our work, and it works great. And of course, it saves weeks of my time, especially when I work with big texts, when I generate different financial reports as well, because also I work as a financial manager of a Russian organization, and I do lots of paperwork. I do lots of financial reports.
Let's give a specific example. And it's not, there should be no shame. It's like, wait, you're not using AI? Like, you should be, right? So, especially as we get into these tools like that we heard from Mark's, where it can be run locally or run with a secure enclave, and it's encrypted, and, it depends on what you're doing, but for the stuff that you guys are doing, you should be using that stuff, not ChatGPT or DeepSeek or whatever, right? Because we don't want to be doxing all of our info to these corporations and governments. But with these tools, for example, we wanted to do like a case study on Bitcoin and human rights, and it just hasn't been done. There's no like industry paper where you can like circulate it at a university where students can read about, there's all these case studies of how human rights defenders have used Bitcoin. It just doesn't exist. Well, we are going to have one like this month because it's so freaking easy to write it, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
and it's like you got to think about the possibilities here.
Yeah, and we wrote this report, and it's around 20 or more pages, and it took me like 2 or 3 hours to write it.
Yeah.
And of course, I was managing the process, and I was controlling all the information.
Yeah, you have to know how to do an amazing prompt.
Absolutely.
It's very important. That's the key. But as long as you learn how to do that, you can really expand the reach of your work.
And it was funny when I shared the result with some guys in my team, and they were like, "Oh wow, it's impressive, and probably it took you so much time to work on it." And I'm like, yeah, it was like 3 hours of work. Yeah, so it's amazing.
It's crazy. So Ben, last summer you started to put, was it last summer or 2 summers ago, you started to put your online education into Spanish with dubbed using AI tools.
Yeah, this is incredible. Again, I do super long, in-depth tutorials, and I've always wanted to be
highly technical.
Very technical. I've always wanted to be able to reach other languages, and right now, Central South America has made a lot of sense. A lot of Bitcoin being used there, and so just thinking of the cost that it would have incurred before, because I would need somebody who speaks both English and Spanish, somebody who also deeply understands Bitcoin and the technical things I'm talking about. The person would have to be a great speaker, and not only that, but the timing would have to be perfect, because if I'm saying push
you need to create a dub track.
Yeah, exactly. So if I say I'm pushing this button now, but they're not at the exact same time as me, it doesn't work. Now, instead of transcript, them speaking, dubbing it, all of that, it's here's the link to my existing video, and then 15 minutes later, it's not only done in my voice, but my lips are CGI'd so it looks like I'm speaking Spanish.
Right. And look, bad guys are going to use this stuff, but like we're going to use it too. It's like you have to think about it. It's sort of similar to encryption and Signal. Like 100% of drug dealers use Signal, but so do 100% of human rights activists should also be using Signal. It's just like 100% of activists should be deep faking their ability to do Spanish, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
He doesn't actually speak it that well.
You should see me do Hindi. It's amazing.
There we go. No, but it's like this can unlock massive potential to get his incredible content into every language, basically.
Yeah. And it's not only that, but over the years, again, dealing with software and wallets, and I'm always kind of going through the user experience, UI, all of that, and explaining it to people. But in the back of my head, I'm like, why is everybody so bad at user experience? And so, like, you think, oh, I wish this button was here. The vibe coding thing, the second I get home, I'm now going to say, I love this about this wallet, this about this wallet, and I want to make my own wallet that I think works best.
The Ben wallet.
Yes,
it's going to be awesome. I'm going to use it all the time.
Take the world by storm.
It's just going to completely transform the ability for look, for the last 5, 6, 7 years, we've been working with human rights activists and technologists and working together to create tools that can help people. And it's a lot of work, and it's been 100% worth every minute. But you guys aren't going to need the technologists anymore, basically. Not really, but you get my point. Like, you'll just be able to do it yourselves without writing any code, which is really quite something. So with that, I hope this was just like a little bit of a glimmer of what's to come, and the next year is just going to be so crazy exciting on this front. And we're grateful you're here. Hopefully we'll be on a bigger stage next year, because this topic is really germane for just everyone, I think. So hopefully we'll do that. Please continue to follow the work of all these fine people. And we'll see you back here at 2 o'clock for the Freedom Tech Track. Thank you so much.